All right, we're calling the Finance Committee meeting to order for September 23rd. Our first item on the agenda is our standing reports. So the auditor is here. If you want to begin and tell us anything that's on your agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Gurdon. Several items this evening I'd like to share with the Finance Committee. First discussion is our retention schedule. Sharon is now on the retention commission, so we've appointed her. And as you may or may not know, we have Joanne Hackworth works a couple days a week. Her singular focus right now is to go through the many boxes that we have to determine what's in there, to get them ready for destruction. So she's been working on that the past couple weeks. She's doing a marvelous job. We are up to 27 boxes, I want to say. Yeah. So
should have 30 boxes by Friday.
Yeah, feels like a drop in the bucket, but what we're going to do is, as we get these accumulated, we're going to, there's a company we use called Document Destruction. Actually, they're right across the street from Monty. I think it's 4011.
Convenient, yeah.
So we're going to get them to come up here. We also had sent out an email if there's anyone else that has anything ready to go so we can work together on this. So we're very pleased to start moving that. First of all, to have it in place. Secondly, to start the process of getting it back. So it's important for us to do that because we've got quite a bit to go through. So just wanted to give the Finance Committee an update on that. So kudos to Joanne. She's the right person for the job. I can tell you that. She's doing a fantastic job. And then wanted to let you know that VIP SSI, we had an hour-long meeting today just to give you an update on the developments of the last few weeks. We found out that, as I asked, we were 3 upgrades behind.
Oh, right.
So what we had to do with that, the server, we had to work with TA and with Jerry. We had to have an upgrade on the SQL server. I'm sitting here acting like I know what I'm talking about, but I remembered SQL. So, but no, in all seriousness, so we have that done. So that now will allow us to work toward getting the budget into the VIP analytics. And as we had discussed previously, then our goal is to have council have the viewing rights for that, okay? And then we can put the last 3 or 4 years in there. So we want to make sure that we're using our ERP system to its entirety, because we pay a significant amount of money for this. So,
ERP?
Yeah, go ahead. ERP, our computer system. Okay. So in our discussion today, we worked with our outside rep, our sales rep, and there were about 6 things we wanted to clarify, make sure we're all on the same page. So we're going to get a report from him here soon, and then we will have some more discussion. Our intent is to get him down here maybe in the next week or so, and then we can talk face to face. I think they're in the Dayton area. So, but I wanted to let you know that there were upgrades that we were behind on. We went ahead and took care of those, and so now we can go forward. But we had to do some kind of hardware issues with TA and Jerry, which they took care of that. I don't know if you got the email, but he sent it out this weekend. Pretty much told everybody after 5:30 on Friday, there's going to be upgrades, so you won't be back until I think it was Sunday night, or
Right.
essentially Monday. So that's great news. We'll continue to hopefully by the next time we'll be much further down the road with this. And then the Monday.com, we went ahead and signed up for that. So the first thing that we're doing is part of our agreement is that they are going to have someone, a specialist, whatever they're called, to implement the first project that we want, which is the report on accounting methods. So we will have that loaded first, and then you will have, you'll be signed up for that as well. So what that's going to look like is we're going to list that, all 34, what's complete, what isn't complete. We're going to assign dates to that, and then we're going to assign who's the individual for that. See what things that we need to work on, who needs some help, those types of things. And the nice thing about Monday.com, and as I think I mentioned to you, I think Keith uses it at his employer. So when something's complete, you don't have to ask for an email. It tells you, hey, this task is complete. So there's a lot of information that's moving that we don't, I don't have to type you an email and say, hey, we took care of this. It's automatic. So you're going to see that. So we're really, really excited about that. I think having a tool like this, we can use it for many, many things. But the first one we want to do is to put those 34 items on there. And that's one that's kind of a big fish. So we're going to let them come in and get that set up for us. And then we'll have training where we can set up our own project. So any project that's going on, not only in the auditor's office, any other department and throughout the city, just got to log on, check it out. So again, transparency, what we're looking for, but also getting you useful information and get it to you in a timely manner.
Yeah.
So something that we're really trying to push hard there. So Monday.com, hopefully we have that done prior to the next finance committee meeting.
It's a private Monday.
Yeah, so we're going to also wanted to give you an update. The second half settlement, Sharon and Mr. Wagers have already taken care of that.
Great.
So
What's that again?
our second half settlement with the county.
Oh.
And this Sharon came in and she had quite a bit on your list
I wouldn't have done it without Tim.
Without Tim?
I'm really
Okay.
grateful for his help.
Yeah, Tim's always helped us out. We really appreciate that. And then we are also, I think we talked about this in previous meetings, the P card, Republic Bank wasn't going to have their new update until I think the end of August. So what we're going to do, and we hope to have that done by the October 14th meeting, is to take the P card manual that we have now. It's a little lengthy, so we're going to condense that. Then we want to bring that to council for your review and your consideration on the 14th. And then once that is in place, then we will have credit cards for department heads for these small purchases. And Sharon and I were talking about this yesterday. Sometimes you have to write a check, and it's a very small amount. We shouldn't have to do that. Also, if someone needs something, in a timely manner, they really can try and expedite the check process, but we'd rather them to just have that card available to them. I think make their lives easier. So, and of course, the process, the manual that we're going to be presenting to you will outline how.
Can I add? I've heard through the grapevine that some of our employees are like purchasing on their own dime and then getting reimbursements, which I appreciate their dedication to the job, but I'm glad this is going to be streamlining the process.
We don't want that. I don't think anybody wants that. That's, we're trying to, this is a business decision. We want to run the city as a business, and I think when we have those emergency needs and needs that are not very much known, we need to have another option than what we're currently doing. So, and like you said, somebody puts it on their card and reimburse them. We don't want that. So let's see. We talked about retention schedule, P card. Also, something that Sharon had made me know of. What's that? You have the records request. What is that called? You have some kind of certification.
A public records custodian. It's like a course you take with the Ohio Audit of State. So you could pretty much respond to public records, know what you can and cannot give. So it's a course of Ohio Revised Code and the Sunshine Rules.
Thank you. And you've gotten that checked off?
Yes, yeah, I had it from my old job, so.
Oh, okay.
Great.
That's always good to have.
Yeah.
I think it's just something else that, if we have a policy and procedure in place, and we have someone like Sharon that has that certification, I think we can work on that. And let's see here. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Let me double check real quick.
Yeah.
I think that's it. And just so you know, on every Monday afternoon, Sharon and I meet with Noah and go over things together, things that we're working on, trying to make improvements on. And then on Wednesdays, we're still meeting with Mr. Wagers and generally, I think Ava is there as well. So I think it's important that we're collaborating and working together. We really enjoy working with the Treasurer's Office and the Safety Service Director. There's a lot of things that we have kind of in the works that we'll be reporting on as we go forward. But quite a bit of dialogue between the departments. So we're really pleased with that, and these guys are a pleasure. So I think that's everything that I can think of. Big one. We switched from Paycor to Paylocity.
Yep.
So,
Yay.
yeah, that's a yay. Tim's pretty happy about that. So, this Friday is the first check to the employees from Paylocity.
Great. Hopefully it goes smoothly.
There has been, and I just want to mention this, there has been a tremendous amount of effort. Our HR director, Lori Zombeck, our assistant deputy auditor, Jeff Forshofer. There's been a small army from Velocity. We've even employed a skill cloud. We've been, I can't even count the number of hours that's been involved in this very tedious. So I know that this Friday it's going to be a big day. One thing to note: Paylocity uses Monday.com as well.
Very nice.
Just throwing that out there. Which I've worked very nicely with them. But it's been a lot. It's been going on since May, maybe even a little earlier. So we had the initial discussion and what they could do for us and the price, which I will say we are saving money. Paylocity is saving the city money. And I think also what they offer is a much better product. It's easier, I think easier for us. A lot of a lot of things I think that Jeff was having to do in the past, manual, a lot of that is going away, if not all of the manual process. So that's something that we are really, really excited about. We had our issues that with Paycor, but that's in the past. So we're just looking forward to working with Paylocity, and I think the employees of the city will like it as well.
Good.
Almost forgot that. That was a good one.
Mr. Miracle, may I ask, with regard to Paylocity, is there, will all of the city's employees need to basically create a new login, all this kind of stuff, like, or I guess just what's kind of the, will they notice anything different at all other than just?
I don't think they're going to notice anything different. I think the platform that you have with Paylocity, and I can tell you this from experience because Auntie uses Paylocity, it's really nice. I have the app on my phone. You can ask for time off. You can check your time, your vacation time, your PTO time. You can review your check, your W-2. There's just an infinite amount, and it's just an app that you download, and they'll have the ability to view that as well. So I think they'll be quite pleased with the Paylocity. We did the same exact thing years ago. We had Paycor at my current employer, and then we switched to Paylocity, and everyone loved the switch there. And we have 501 employees at Monty. They're able to, I think, supply to us a product that is a big improvement. So I'm confident that they'll be happy with that.
If you don't mind, if I could just add on.
Right now?
Another advantage with Paylocity, one of employees' biggest issues is finances. How do you balance, your finances, creating a budget? Paylocity has, it gives you, I guess, a kind of overall picture of your finances. Like, okay, this is how much you make. If you want to have financial independence or save towards this, you need to, and these are real numbers, based on your check amount, this is how much you need to save, this is how much you can use. So it's just an additional feature that I think employees will be really, really happy with. That way, kind of just helps them financially plan with still getting your paycheck. It's just an additional. And it also gets us away from paper, which Mr. Miracle hates. And that's the same thing with Monday.com. Just getting away from paper. Not only is it like for project management, but in our office, we'll be able to use it for POs. So instead of having paper POs, you could actually have POs submitted through Monday.com. Yep.
Great.
And we would not have the problem we have right now of 27 boxes in the future.
And I assume, since you bring it up, that there's reports that we can run for public records requests and things like that. I can't imagine these softwares would not have that capability.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I will say with the Paylocity, I think they offer more reports. And I think also one of the things we work on with is the bank reconciliation. We had issues with Paycor. I know Mr. Wagers is evidently familiar with that. But that, moving on with Paylocity, we're going to have it's a much clearer picture. We're trying to do all the heavy lifting up front, so that when we start this Friday, this hopefully seamless transition, and that the information that they're going to be providing to us, there's going to be more reports, I think, that we can pull from here to make everybody's life easier. So, and I will say, in addition to all that, their customer service has been excellent. They've quickly, they've been, I don't know how many Teams calls we've had. I've lost track, but but I know there was a lot of back and forth, and so we're anxious to. That's a valid point. Sharon brought up.
A couple of notes that I had from previous meetings I wanted to check on. The last meeting we talked about an independent contractor for the reporting county measures. That's still proceeding.
On the report on accounting methods?
Yeah.
Well, what we're doing with that, we wanted to utilize the Monday.com as a tool and to get all that information there so that we have, like I like to call, one source of truth, so that we have all of that information on there, and that moving forward we have a clearer picture of exactly what is done, what is waiting to be tested, which we have quite a number of those, and then items that we need to make sure that we clean up. So we want to do this part here, and I think that working with Sharon, and as you know, we have a new accounting specialist coming October
I think the second.
2nd.
Yeah, beginning of October.
Yeah, so Ariana. So we're looking forward to getting her on board. One of the things she's going to be working on is we're going to have a backup for payroll, and then she's going to be assisting Sharon with a lot of our report on accounting methods and a whole list of other things that we have. So we're excited about that too.
Thank you.
Great.
And then I have notes about some report that's due at the end of October, like a big report coming up.
Let's see. Well, please. Well, our financial statements, yeah, we're working on, and Sharon is all over that. So we're yeah, yes, and she's doing an excellent job on that. So that is true. So in fact, we were talking to Mr. Wagers about that earlier today. So we're doing well on that.
You're welcome. Anything else for the auditor's office? Good for you.
On this agenda or anything?
Might as well without anything.
Okay.
Mr. Newbert.
Sure. I guess, so two things. One related to the end of month reporting. And I guess this is just me trying to generally improve how I think about this. So my understanding is that kind of globally, we're 8 months through. So in theory, we should be at about 67% spent. I see that, depending on kind of the line item that you look at, there are some that are, 40, 50% spent, and then there's some that are more, 80% spent and that sort of thing. But kind of the aggregate spend is 72.4% towards, the full year plan. And I guess just like what at this point of the year, as these kind of things start to come into focus, do you know, or is this more of a NOAA question, how we start to land the plane with, sort of spending appropriately between now and the December 31st?
Yeah, I think some of those I would say could be timing issues. Some things we pay quarterly, some things we pay monthly. But I think moving forward, I know that this is the topic that we've talked about, Sharon and I, and even Tim as well. There's a lot of information that we give you.
Mhm.
And I think that it would be more advantageous if we talked about the revenue, the expenses, and the statement of cash. And if we got it down to those three. And then we would give you an executive summary of those for the year, like you're talking about. And then anything that may be an anomaly, maybe a reason why that, hey, we don't pay that till we pay that quarterly or semi-annually or whatever that that would be. But I think that would be probably more beneficial to you. as a team to review that rather than giving you 8 or 9 reports and saying, hey, when you get through reading those, let me know if there's any questions.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's pardon me, what we were discussing. I think Sharon was talking about some nice graphs and some visuals there. I think
Yeah, visuals are always nice.
visuals are always good. Yeah. So yeah, I know where you're coming from, and I agree with that.
Sure. Yeah. And so I guess for certain things, and I'll use like the clerk of council as a for instance, and the treasurer office would probably be another one that would be applicable. I know there have been some chunks of the year where those positions have been empty in such a way that we're not paying salaries as anticipated and things like that, and there might not be there might end up being a meaningful amount of leftover funds in one of those accounts. And so I look at something like the clerk of council's budget, and I know a couple months ago we had a conversation about the community survey and where would we come up with $2,000 to do every door direct mail to try to increase engagement with that community survey. Like, is this the time of year where we could look at that and say, hey, on this, there's this much, we're probably going to have $10,000 left over there. We would love to allocate 2,000 of that anticipated underspend to something like a postcard and promotion of the community survey. Like, is that the kind of thing that is appropriate to be thinking about, or is that?
I think now is the exact time to think about
Okay.
that. Because if you remember when we did the tax budget, that was kind of the beginning. We talked about that. And so now we're gathering the budgets from the departments. And the council will, Mr. Gears will be doing the same thing as well, as my office and Mr. Bonzo and everyone else. So this is the reason that I want to have the VIP analytics in place, so that is one place where you start to look at that, and hopefully when you have to vote on the budget in March, you've already seen it for 6 months. Rather
Ideal.
That's where my vision is to, and then you can have more time to review and say, hey, that $2,000 for what you had just mentioned, Mr. Moore, that could be the time that is introduced into that budget, right? And so, yeah, precisely the timing to start talking about that.
And so is that with regard to the 26 budget?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess just as a point of clarity, so if we knew, for example, from the clerk of council's budget that there was going to be, $10,000 sort of unspent, anticipated at the end of this year, could we sort of allocate 2,000 of that hypothetical 10,000 to say, hey, this, rather than sort of like turn this 10,000 back, could we change appropriations to allocate 2,000 of that anticipated short spend towards this project this fiscal year?
I look at it more from my point of view. 2025, we're wrapping that up. We're starting to assess the needs for 2026. So to me, really, there's not a correlation to that. It's just throw out a number. Last year you spent 70,000, and this year you want to spend 72,000. So
Sure.
that would, and then as a line item, you would put that in the budget for that, right?
Okay.
And so you could, when you're reading it, there's the
Sure.
what you were previously mentioning.
Okay. So there's no mechanism for making use of loose change in the 25 calendar year, that those funds are destined to be sort of unspent and turned back.
Yeah. Well, and we start from the beginning and
Okay.
in the 2026. But we start talking about 2026 now and what you would like that to look like.
Okay. Got it. So I hear you on my wish list of a December Merry Christmas from the city, and oh, by the way, do your survey postcard.
this something that we should put on the agenda specifically for next meeting? Talk about just the process.
Well, and so that was kind of the other thing that I wanted to ask about, because the first couple of pages of the FRP do kind of detail sort of the budget process, appropriations, format for appropriations, et cetera. And to me, looking at this, so it would be like page 3, bullet C. It basically says, on or before November 1st of each year, the Finance Committee, City Auditor, and Mayor shall submit to the City Council fund appropriations at the personal services and other object level by departments for all funds. And so I just, with respect to that procedural call out in the FRP, I don't know if there's things that we need to do as far as, this November 1st procedural recommendation in order to kind of stay on track with the outline process.
Yeah, I think Noah's, he's already accumulated a considerable amount already. I know that we've already, Sharon's already done ours for next year. I think that's something that the picture should start to be clearer here very quickly.
I do want to point out, because I was looking at the variance, you were looking at like how much was spent, 62%. Good example. In July, I was not hired. So the personnel key for the auditor's office could have had 49% spent. But then I was hired, so that can jump. And then we also hired Ariana, so that can jump. So I would not say there may be a lot of change. And we also have a lot of POs that are open. For example, Monday.com, that's something that's on the budget. So it may not reflect on what you have for August, but that's money that has already been allocated for something. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I guess my question would be, I'm going to totally make this number up. If we were planning to pay the deputy auditor $120,000, each month would be $10,000. And if that seat was empty for 2 months of the year, I don't think we're, you know what I mean? Like, we're not, like, that $20,000 is just unspent. We're not going to pay you 6 months worth for 4 months worth of work, you know what I mean? Just to catch up because those funds are in there. So basically, in this hypothetical scenario, 2 months of the deputy auditor's budget is unspent and is never going to be spent. And so I guess my question is, like, what happens to that $20,000? Right. And so if the answer is we reappropriate it, I guess my question is why couldn't we reappropriate $2,000 to a postcard for the survey? Like, and again, we could reappropriate it to park benches or salt trucks or whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. But I guess all this sort of loose change that is sitting there unspent, just because the position was empty for 2 months doesn't mean that we, increased the salary by 50% or whatever to catch up. So there's lots of loose change that I guess is like, how do we put to good use by the end of the year is my question. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Oh, your mic.
But there's also POs. So you have, there's like, we issued a PO for Monday for $10,000, but the actual cost is only $8,000. You close that PO, that frees up $2,000 in that key. But it's just a question of finding that. It depends on where we are. But that's part of the process that you go through. If if the auditor's office is able to tell, hey, we're going to be over on payroll appropriations in the fire department by $30,000, then you can allocate that $30,000 somewhere else. Or, that the payment on that on gasoline is twice what we thought because the prices went up. Then you got to adjust it that way. But that's definitely part of the process. At this time, as we closer to the end of the year, we have a better idea of how accurate those initial numbers are.
Yeah.
Because these are estimates, right?
Sure.
So, some of them, might spend less, and some might have more. I think there's even appropriation on there tonight where we're kind of,
Yeah.
so those things do happen in the course of the year, for sometimes of, reasons beyond the department's control.
Yeah. So in the effort to like land the plane, let's say, and sort of, spend everything and all this kind of stuff, it would be fair to expect kind of a flurry of these sort of budget appropriation changes over,
Oh, yeah.
over the next 2-3
Yeah.
months.
You're correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And for your experience in this position, as well, I mean, hypothetically, if, we found some unappropriate or some unspent money, the finance committee could put together an ordinance to change appropriations to spend that money in a different way.
I think in theory, you could do that, but it depends on funds, what fund is it in, what funds it go in, and as you know, we're in fiscal emergency, there's some funds we can't touch, those are locked, so you can't do anything with that. So that's, my sense of urgency to take care of that, so that we don't have to worry about that. Because sometimes there are things that, that's just, it's locked and that's the way it is. And as you know, the FRP and state have to approve the budget as well. So, but I think it's always good business to get early start, like we're doing now. Let's get it out there for review and do what everyone is asking for. And there are things that, new things that pop up. Maybe we didn't do it that way this year. Monday.com, we weren't doing that before, so we're going to plan for that for the next couple of years as we move down the road with that. So those kind of types of things pop up as well.
Okay. I want to be cognizant of the time. We need to wrap up here shortly. Do we, finance committee, do we want to keep our schedule second to October 28th to discuss kind of budget recommendations, or do we need to meet earlier to develop that list and present it by November 1st? November, or our next meeting gives us just a couple of days to get that recommendation.
And with that in mind, it might be good to shift it to the first meeting, before the first meeting of the month. And potentially if we're just going to talk about budget stuff, if we're just trying to spitball stuff, maybe that Mr. Miracle, we can have another budget or finance meeting the second.
So it'd be the
As well.
14th of October rather than the 28th of October. I would say let's just keep both on the schedule. Just
We
as
can
a
always cancel.
Precautionary measure, and we could always cancel the 28th if not necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, I will schedule October 14th, 6:30 p.m. meeting, and I'll just put budget on the agenda.
Sounds good.
Mr. Wagers, thank you for being patient. Do you have any reports that you want to bring to our attention?
I know we're cranking on time here, so I'll give you the earnings tax report. This is I pushed it out to the end of September, which I usually don't like to do for you guys. I like to give you solid numbers versus what could still have the opportunity to change. However, September looks pretty good. We're down right now about 120,000. That's nothing. We'll have that by the end of the month, so it'll be caught up. As we sit 5% up on the year. That's about an $855,000 difference. Last year we did raise the estimates to match last year's totals. So that 8% is over the revenue estimates that was put in last year.
Great.
It was a lot, wasn't it? Yeah. And then just kind of reiterate on what Mr. Miracle said with Paylocity. Lori and Jeff did an incredible amount of work. So it really was a huge process. So if you see them, kudos may be in order, or maybe an email if you don't have time to hang around City Hall. But it was quite a lengthy process, and there were some times where it got a little aggravating and stuff like that. But they really did a great job. So it's almost done. We've ran a few test payrolls. They've all matched what they should be. The future is looking bright, if you will. So that's nice, but it's good. It's good for them and how much work they did to be acknowledged.
Who did you say the email should go to?
That would be Lori Zombeck and Jeff Forsthofer.
Yeah.
Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Wages, this might be a little theoretical, but is there, do you all have basically a list of like every taxable entity in the city, person or corporation?
Pretty close.
Pretty
Yes.
close. And is there basically a metric that would be like number of those entities from which you have collected this year?
Like what we collected from each individual entity? Is that?
Like if you were taking attendance, like is like 90% of entities have filed and paid, 95, like 50, like, you know what I mean? Is there a metric like that you guys?
If we speak on businesses are probably greater than 90%. If we speak on individuals, that's quite a bit harder, especially with the rental and
Sure.
transient, kind of residents like
Sure.
that. We're probably closer to about 40.
Room for growth.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Staffing. Mr. Bonslow and I putting together those postcards and sending them out every year. They have worked rather tremendously. A lot of people are not necessarily dodging us. It's not like that they're not wanting to pay taxes. Of course, nobody wants to pay taxes, but it's more or less they just didn't know. So we're trying to make that awareness and that responsibility to where everybody knows what they're actually liable for, and it's working pretty well.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And because I guess like I'm amazed at the work your office does in the sense of year-over-year growth and that sort of thing. And I guess my thought is about like at what point what is the ceiling really? You know what I mean? In terms, like obviously you can't just grow 5% forever. That sounds nice, but
Yes.
like you can't do that. But I know you guys have consistently beat your numbers. And so
that's staffing. That's the team. The team definitely has some dedication. They work hard. They get the stuff in. The more they get in, the more we have the opportunity to find folks that perhaps didn't turn one in. So that gives us kind of the opening there to have hands to work on that and gain that compliance. Everything. That's it. I mean, it's definitely the work that is being performed in the office. That is the reason for the increase.
Yeah.
I do expect that we will hit a plateau and maybe even a slight downtrend at some point in time. That's all. I'd just be guessing. I have no idea when that's actually going to happen.
Yeah. No, this is really helpful. Thank you. And it makes me like when you talk about kind of this like 40%, just generally speaking. I mean, I think my understanding is that about like 54% of the population are like owner occupants or more permanent residents, and 46% are renters. And so when you talk about that kind of ratio,
It gets a little
makes
difficult,
sense.
because people put their rental properties in separate LLCs.
Right.
We don't have a current rental registration program. We're utilizing the counties.
Mm-hmm.
That's mainly for enforcement calls. It's just hard. We don't have the personnel to be able to maintain that.
Yeah.
So we're ultimately we're chasing, but we're not quite sure what we're chasing. So
Right.
we're trying to find out who the actual owners of the entities are. That way we have, good addresses to be able to send them paperwork. They do have a responsibility to turn in their tenant lists. That is involved in the tax code. But once again, that takes enforcement to receive the compliance. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else to do with yours?
Nope.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We had a couple other items on the agenda, but I thought we had a clean coming into that. Then we're going to move the board. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Thank you very much.
The changes in the state budget, we get that. Now members pay